Welcome to Broadcast Map, the show that covers the world of broadcasting, the Canadian media landscape, sports media, the show's favorite sports teams, as well as news and politics. Here's your host, Ali Musa.
Good afternoon on Thursday, May the 1st, 2025. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am joined by Lily Frederiksen to talk all about the election results. Was it what we were feeling? Lily, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I appreciate it.
Good afternoon, Ali. Thank you for having me back on the show.
You have an open invitation on the show, so I'm always happy to have you here on the show.
Well, I'm always happy to come anytime you want to hear some random woman's opinions. And yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
So, I want to start by tell me your thoughts. I'm going to go a little bit back to the campaign, and then we'll kind of tie it through the election. Was the election result? If you rewind back to the campaign, was it what you were expecting?
Kind of. I tried not to have too many expectations. I didn't really have an expectation of who would win. I did have some predictions, which I predicted that it would be a close race, and it was pretty close. And I predicted that the NDP would have kind of a poor showing, and they did. So in that way, it was what I expected.
So basically, you weren't surprised at the end of it all when NDP leader Jagmeet Singh said he's going to step down.
I was a little surprised that he lost his seat, but I mean, not that he stepped down when he did lose. I mean, that seems like that's kind of standard procedure. From what I've read and heard about politics.
Yeah, it kind of is.
What
It is.
what about you? Let's get your take on this. Like, what were the election results what you expected?
Yeah. Yes, I'm not really surprised because of the fact that I wasn't really surprised on the fact that, yes, it was a case where it was a minority. I was actually surprised, though, that at the same time, though, I was surprised that it wasn't actually a majority because of the fact that, because of the messaging and the style that was being presented by Liberal leader and Mark Carney and the Liberals.
Mm-hmm.
But am I surprised at the end? No.
Yeah, so you were pleased or surprised. You were expecting the result, but you kind of thought it would be more of a majority government as opposed to minority, is what you're saying.
Yes, I did because because of the performance. I really didn't feel that the Conservatives in Polyev really, especially, I feel it was Polyev's messaging that was the problem for me.
In
And the
what
tone.
way? Okay. In what way?
Well, it came across as though he was trying to adapt Trump style policies.
Okay, interesting.
And in the event that, and there were a lot of similarities at the same time, that if he didn't like something, then he would just kind of be like a Trump and go, oh, well, he didn't want to hear about it.
Fair,
Go ahead.
I said fair. I was going to say fair enough.
It's just, I feel like it's just the way that he behaves with the media. I just don't like that.
You know, I think you're not alone in that because I've been I'm going to be open on here. I am a supporter of the Conservative Party in general, and so
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I after the election, I follow various like conservative YouTuber commentators, and a lot of them were saying kind of the same thing as you. Like the conservatives did not do a good job with the media. They did not do enough interviews. They did not make an effort to really kind of get the general public in on their campaign, if that makes sense.
It really does because because see because when you're a party leader, you have to that's sort of what you sign up for is
Mhm.
to to answer. See, when like I should have put it this way, when he's challenged when he's challenged by the media, he tends to shrug it off like a he tends to he tends to be like Trump.
Yeah, that's I see. Yeah, I see why like their like mannerisms and stuff like that. In some ways, they are similar. Yeah, I see why you would make the comparison there.
But at the same time, though, not that I'm trying to contradict myself, but I also feel that he's not exactly Trump. While he has some of the same sort of behavior and demeanor at times, he's not. I don't feel he's that he's exactly the same. I think he would try.
I think, yeah, I think I don't know if this is a great comparison, but I almost feel like he's kind of like a watered down version of Trump in some ways. Like,
Yes.
because for example, Trump was like, "Oh, I'm gonna cut." My Trump impression is terrible.
No,
I'm
that's
gonna
fine.
cut. I'm gonna cut civil servant workers, and Pierre Poilievre was saying a kind of a similar thing. Like, not, I'm not going to cut them, but for every three that retire, I will only hire two back, and in that way, kind of reduce the size of government. So. Yeah, I can see it. And yeah, that's they're he's kind of in some ways like a watered down version of him.
Yeah. Now he also lost his seat. Now he also lost his seat in his riding of Ottawa Carleton, but there is a chance that he will be able to stay on as leader of that party if and there is sort of the bit of the notion either that they want that the party would is okay with him or wants him to stick around. But the other thing to kind of remember here as well that the Conservatives Party does have a motion have a notion there that they can easily just kick him out if they want to.
That is very true.
Whereas the Liberals don't have a notion like that because I don't know if you remember several years ago during the when Aaron O'Toole was the leader, they used that notion to vote him out
Yes, I
or to
do
kick
remember
him out.
that. I wonder if it just depends on like if the party's loyal to him and in my this is just my opinion, but I think that he what made him better than Andrew Scheer and Aaron O'Toole is kind of that like showmanship almost and like he's going to stick to his policies and stick to his slogans and axe the tax and build the homes and fix the budget. Like he's very good at like he's very passionate
Yep.
and in that way I feel like he's been able to get some more people on his side. So I feel like they may it depends. I don't know, but I feel like there's a chance that they may just say like, "Hey, he's our best shot. Like, let's get him into a safe seat."
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I wouldn't, you're not wrong about that. I personally feel like that, that you're absolutely right about that. But because he lost his seat, it's going to be all dependent on whether the party wants him.
Oh, absolutely. N-
Go
Now I'm
ahead.
curious. I'm curious. I we touched on it briefly, but another note that I have, I actually wrote down notes. The yeah, I came in prepared this time, but the another note I wrote down was like, the NDP really did just had such a poor showing. They went from 24 seats to seven, and in fact, actually lost party status. Was that something that you were expecting to see?
based on how they've performed over the last few years, over the last 3 elections that Jagmeet Singh was the leader, and because of the fact that in each of those 3 elections they lost seats, no, I personally, I was actually expecting something like this.
Hmm. That's fair. Yeah, it's yeah, it's interesting because yeah, and it became pretty clear early on, right, that it was kind of like a two-party race, like liberals or conservatives, and because it seemed like the stakes were so high, it's yeah, unfortunately people were like, well, we have to, even though I may support the NDP's policies, we're gonna have to just vote liberal, the better of the two options.
Well, that was it, like that was
Mhm.
that was what I thought,
Absolutely.
because the reality has become that, see, and that was the thing, right? When I was going into this, I was very much, one thing I was paying attention, like, see, I'm not a big fan of the uh the debates, and
Okay.
the reason I'm not a fan of it is all because all they're really, and I'm going to sort of ask a second part. I'm going to get your thoughts first, and then I'm going to ask you a second part question here,
Okay.
on this, based on a little bit based on our previous chat, that the first part of it is here, that because what happens is they just kind of attack each other, and they just kept shouting at each other, and rather than, whereas a debate to me is, this is my policy, this is my policy, and just give me the information and let the voters decide. Actually, I'm going to ask you the second part of this question before I forget it. That
Okay.
quote, and feel free to take it in any order that you want. People our age generally are not typically engaged in the whole voting, or and paying attention to what's even going on. There are a lot of people that didn't even know that an election even existed, even was going on. Do you I personally, I'm an advocate for, yes, that get out there and vote. Anybody that asks me, I always suggest that. I always
Hmm.
recommend that. But at the same time, I understand why people don't want to vote. Young people our age don't want to vote. It's because of the fact that they just keep going on attacking each other.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I totally agree that like the way they're doing the debates now is not really productive, like for anyone. And yeah, if they could somehow focus more on policy and less on like attacking. Like if you noticed in the debate, something I took away from it is like, wow, they're all really ganging up on Carney. Even Yves-François Blanchet, who said like, I'm going to support the minority, sorry, the liberal minority government. He was really like coming down on Carney in the debate, if you noticed. And
Yes, because what happened was that. Go ahead. You have another thought? Go ahead.
no, no, you continue.
Okay. So he was saying, right, one thing that sort of got to me was, one thing I found really interesting, quote, is, I did listen to a bit of the debate, by the way.
Hmm.
That quote, um, uh, um, why was I thinking Stefan Dion there for a second? But,
It's
um,
2008 again. We've traveled back in time.
um, a Carney was saying, that quote to, um, to Polyev, quote, that I know you quote you wanted to run against Justin Trudeau and he's not here, quote.
Oh yeah, I
That
noticed that too.
Yeah, and that's exactly. I mean, I think like here's the thing. That's what I feel he wanted. That's what I feel that Carney want. That's what I feel that he wanted actually.
I kind of agree. I mean, he did the best he could with what he had, obviously, but if I forget where I read this, but like the poll numbers, the conservatives were having like double point like leads on the liberals, and then within like a couple of months Trudeau resigns, and then Trump announces the trade war, and the whole polling numbers changed. So for his campaign, that would have been the best case scenario.
Yeah, I think in a way, right? I feel like in a way that's what has. I feel like that's what's really happened. Where in a process where see, and he said that a couple of times throughout the. I mean, throughout the debate, throughout that debate,
Hmm.
and because I mean, here's the thing: like with Trudeau's popularity, began to just tumble.
Hmm.
He, if Trudeau would have stayed on, Polyev would have won a big majority.
Absolutely. However, I mean, the conservatives did do better than the last election. They didn't do as well as they would have. They gained, I believe, 24, 25 seats, and they also gained 8% of the popular vote from 33% to 41. So I mean, he did gain some support,
Yeah,
but
he did. He really did. He did better.
mhm.
But I mean, the real question to kind of ask though, or to kind of put forward, that is it because of him, or is it the fact that the party turning away from the leader, from Polyev himself? Now, there's a possibility there too. Now, I know. Now, Bill Kelly's mentioned that a few times.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I yeah, I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see.
So, do you feel it is because of that reason, though? Do you feel it is because of the fact that are they turning against their leader, or do you feel that it's because of him that they gain the support?
It's hard to tell. I think there's so many different factors at play because he did gain a lot of support, and I think his main message was like, I want to get in to make Canada more affordable, and because of various factors, the Russia-Ukraine war, just inflation and everything, Canada was becoming increasingly more unaffordable for people. So it's hard to say, like, if another, say Aaron O'Toole had stayed on and that had been his central message, would people have rallied around him? I don't know.
Oh, that's a very yeah no I that's a very good point. Yep, because maybe not. Maybe they would have. Maybe they wouldn't have. And I'm really a fan of like, I'm honestly really a big fan um of a little bit of that transparency and a little bit of like, see, honesty in that regard from the leaders. Um,
Hmm.
no, actually, no, I shouldn't say transparency and honesty, but I think, see, the main sort of point is a Carney had the better messaging.
Hmm.
Now, could he get the extra few seats in the next in a by election? I don't know.
Yeah, hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they could call a by-election, but
Do you think they're likely to in an attempt to try and get the majority government?
it's hard to say. But if I mean, I feel that it will be tried. If it's my opinion, I feel yes, it will be tried.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would be interesting. I kind of hope they don't. Again, gonna
No,
show
I
my
don't either.
bias here, but yeah. But I mean, if they do, that would be interesting to follow and interesting to see if they do win.
No, I think they'll try. That's because I think here's the thing. Because you have to be in a like. See, now is the time for everybody to work together, and both leaders have said that.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be I can see why they would because in a minority government, yeah, it's gonna be difficult to get things done. Potentially they've got the NDP's 7 seats. They've got 169. The Liberals have 169, the NDP have an additional 7, and the Bloc have another 23, which is 199 seats. So I mean, I could see them working together and because they would have more than half, but at the same time, you're not guaranteed. Like if you do something to upset the NDP or do something to upset the Bloc, then all of a sudden you're looking at another election.
And I don't really feel any of them want that right now
No.
because then it's going to cause Trump to go to start his rhetoric again, which he's already started again, by the way.
Oh yeah. Well, it feels like it never stops with him, but yeah.
No, but do you like what like? Can you tell me though? Kind of, do you feel that Trump will actually go ahead and do what he wants to do? For example, the annexation of Canada. Do you think he's going to try?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I I don't know. Um, I think if Canada legally wanted to be the 51st state, I don't think that would ever happen because um both the um Canadian Parliament and the US Parliament would have to agree to it, and I don't see in any world where the Canadian Parliament would agree to that. Annexation? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, but like in a way, see, the thing is that he just wants to do what he wants, right? And then he's going, and with of course the economy and everything, with the U.S. economy starting to shrink a bit with his tariffs, he can't even accept the blame for it. He's just going to find somebody else to blame.
Yeah, that's it's unfortunate that yeah, he doesn't even seem to notice or well, he's noticing, but he's like, well, this is not I didn't control this. I didn't start this. So it's like,
Yeah,
hello.
he's going to say it's Biden's fault,
Yeah.
which again is a lie, but
Yeah. That's what he does, unfortunately.
yeah.
Now, do you think that he would even be able to do you think that the US would be able to actually annex Canada?
Well, if he wants it, he'll do what he wants. He'll do whatever it takes to do it.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's my belief, and he's going to lie again to try and um he's going to spread misinformation
Hmm.
and is going to and he's going to do something to get his way. See, what he's really doing is he's working hard to create a crisis so he can stay in power.
Interesting. Yeah, I never really looked at it like that.
And here's the thing: next year are supposed to be, and I use this and legally supposed to be the the midterms. Now,
Right.
he can now see, and he knows at the same point that that if he does it, if he allows it to go as scheduled, he's gonna lose it. But what he's gonna do is he's gonna do something to create more of a crisis and then make his executive orders that, oh, the election is canceled. We're in a crisis here, so we have to cancel the election. And he's going to stay in power.
Well, that's a kind of a scary thought, actually.
No, it is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that this is what I want to happen,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm saying that this is a reality of what he's doing.
For sure. Well, that kind of brings up a whole another question of like, um, we've seen emergency orders be used in the past and like situations like COVID and where it was like we needed a state of emergency. We needed the government to have emergency powers, but like at a certain point, it's like I understand why, like, how much should a government be able to invoke these emergency powers and like take away from people's like right to vote? Like, should that even be should the Constitution even allow that?
They shouldn't. But there isn't, but while with him in power, there is no Constitution.
Hmm.
You know, he's not only he's anti-constitution. He doesn't care, and the Supreme Courts and everybody has given him the power to do what he wants. So there is no Constitution anymore. There's no Supreme Court right now. It's all being run by the mega people.
Right.
So whatever the mega people want, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that seems to be yeah, I don't really have a lot of comments. That seems to be what's happening for sure. It's yeah.
See, I'd love to see. I would love to see him just go. Now there are also like there is a prediction out there. Now let me like sort of kind of get your thoughts here as well. That do you feel that, or is it fair to even say that he might not even make it out of his term?
Um, I mean, possibly. I mean, I don't know enough about that. Like if there's I think he's definitely lost support. The question is, has he lost enough support that people are like, well, he's only made things worse. Like we can't even let him finish his term. So,
And you also have to like we also have to remember too. This is a guy who's been impeached twice in the past, and still, you know, it's honestly terrible as it is that he's been able to kind of stick around.
yeah, yeah, it's no matter how much people no matter how much people want him out or most people anyway, he just does not seem to leave. Now, you gotta wonder why they voted him in the first place, because if they didn't, then this whole trade war and everything wouldn't have happened.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, no, I think it was just because of his messaging that he's like, oh, we're going to make America great again, this, that.
Hmm.
I feel like that's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Yeah, it's interesting. You really have to, yeah, you really have to do your research and your due diligence if you're going to elect someone. I mean, uh, I think, yeah, people didn't really know. Yeah, like you said, his messaging sounded great. So, and there were a lot of people struggling, and yeah, they thought that he
Yeah.
would be the easy fix, I guess.
Yeah.
So, speaking of, I don't know, election stuff, if we want, we can turn it back to Canada because I heard something really interesting the other day about Alberta,
Go ahead. Tell
actually.
me what you're thinking.
So, Alberta has this law that it's called oh my goodness, what's it called? A citizens um citizens um I'm sorry. I don't
No,
know.
no,
It's
no,
it,
no. Don't
but
worry. Don't worry. Don't
basically,
worry. You're
essentially what
good.
it
You're good.
boils
Don't worry.
down, but essentially what it boils down to is if the citizens of Alberta can collect a certain percentage or 20 if 20% of voters in Alberta can sign a petition to have a particular bill brought in front of Parliament, then it will be. Like for example, like the separation. Like that's something that a lot of or some at least some people in Alberta are starting to think about because
I
the
did hear
West is
that, actually. I did hear that.
Mhm. And what Danielle Smith's done, and she's claiming that it's unrelated, but I doubt it, is she's made the threshold for the signatures. You only need 10% of Albertan voters to sign this petition, and you have instead of 90 days to get this done, 120. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I just kind of think it's about doing what. I just think it's just kind of some. I think it's trying to do things that are unnecessary, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Because do I agree about Alberta separating from Canada? I don't know whether how I think. I don't know if I want to see Canada. Well, see, is this going to? But see, this is. I also don't feel this is a good idea.
I no, I agree with you.
And the reason is because I'm scared of the man south of the border.
Hmm.
And this is going to be his thing. Oh, Alberta's separated. Let's annex Alberta.
Right. Which, yeah, plays right into his hands because it's like, well, Canada's gonna divide and then we can conquer. Like, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then he's going to try and do each province. Then it's like, well, okay.
Hmm. Now, I've heard a lot, yeah, like the reasons for it is Alberta doesn't feel like they're necessarily being listened to. It's a province of a lot of very strong like conservative supporters, and I think part of it is that their main industry is oil and gas and the well, not I don't know if Mark Carney necessarily is, but in the past liberals have been against expanding pipelines and those type of projects. So do you think they're like what do you think about the fact that they're not being listened to? Like, do you think that there's anything that Ottawa should be doing or Carney should be doing to kind of um like help them feel like they're being more heard, I guess? Do you think that's even necessary?
Yes, like I feel every province should be heard at the federal level.
Hmm.
That's my belief. Because we are if we're talking about unity, that's what unity means.
For sure.
Now, I want to also kind of get your I want to sort of also talk about this with you that it just kind of crossed that I heard this morning that while right now there's this whole Canada First thing in grocery stores and things,
Oh yeah.
um, but there is a possibility though that a strong, not a strong possibility, but there's a strong piece out there that cannot, that won't continue for too much longer. And I can sort of see that when it comes to from a marketing and a sales side.
So do you are you talking about the businesses not wanting to continue that or the consumers?
Consumers.
Oh, interesting.
But I think, but either way, it's going to affect both.
Definitely. I mean, I think it depends on the products. If you're talking about Canadian produce, it's more expensive. So I can see why some consumers are like, well, my budget is tight as it is. I could buy produce from the US that is like 30% cheaper, as an example. Like, and so I can see why they're starting to kind of get fed up with it.
Yes. And the reality also is sort of that piece too, where, I mean, I'm not really like, I mean, I think everybody has to sort of thrive in that area, right?
Hmm.
Um, when it comes to where, where everything kind of floats and how it, uh, how it figures out.
Right.
And, I'm in favor of, doing what's necessary.
So you're in favor of consumers kind of doing what's necessary, whether that is kind of stretching their budgets a bit more?
Not stretching their budgets, but going for keeping their budgets in check.
Right.
But here's the thing:
I'm
when it comes to sovereignty and stuff,
Mhm.
I don't feel Canada now. Like, there's really not. Canada doesn't have much though in terms of its iconic brands and everything. It doesn't have much now in terms of that.
Okay. Um, Iconic brands, like such as Tim Hortons and I'm trying to think. No,
Well,
that's
Tim Hort
American.
Yeah, Tim Hortons is not actually. It's owned by an Amer. It's owned by. It's not actually. It's owned by an American brand now, though.
Oh, that's right.
Right, Tim Hortons. And there are some locations in the U.S.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right. I'm trying to think of some
And the
examples. Sorry?
no, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think of some examples of like iconic brands. Like the one that's popping to mi coming to mind right away for me is Real Canadian Superstore, but
Yeah, they're still around.
mhm.
Yeah, no, and that's a very good brand actually.
That's
Um,
where I do most of my shopping actually is
nice, nice.
yeah. Yeah, but I mean, maybe it's just my lack of knowledge of brands, but other than that, I can't really think Mark's work where? No, I think they're American too.
Yeah, no, but the whole cycle. This will be very interesting, I think, as to what kind of happens over the next little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it will
and
be.
we should also point out as well that you have, as mentioned earlier, you have an open invitation on this show, but your voice will also be heard a little bit more as well on the
What do
books
you mean?
on future books panels.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so your voice will be heard. So those listening will be hearing your voice on the airwaves here on the books panel, and this is very exciting. And I really appreciate you joining that and being on board with it.
You know, I'm just so thankful that you invited me because my, you know this, but for anyone who doesn't, my dream was always to like do broadcasting, and now this is kind of a way that I can kind of like kind of get part of it is like being on
Yes.
podcasts.
Yes. You've got it. We've got it. Yes. We're all a team, and you know what? It's exciting. It really is. And that it's growing. So let's sort of so the next book will be on May 23rd. We will be discussing we'll be discussing My Effin' Life by Geddy Lee.
Yeah, and Geddy Lee, I was confused because I'm not a Rush fan, so I looked it up and he's the bassist for Rush, if anyone doesn't know.
Yes.
So I'm stoked to start reading that.
Yes. So you'll be able to find me online, and they can find you. They can find you on Facebook, I believe.
Yes, I can.
And on Goodreads, I believe, as well.
Yeah. Facebook is Lillian Frederiksen. Goodreads is I'm not sure, to be honest.
Sounds cool. They can find you there as well. They can find you there, and I'm back on Broadcast Map returns on Monday, May the 5th. We're going to talk all about NHL. We're going to talk all about the NHL playoffs, and I hope the Leafs will still be in it. By the way, by then, but hopefully they can wrap it up tonight. But Daniele Franceschi will be here to discuss that. Thanks again, Lily. I always appreciate you taking the time to join me. I look forward to having you back soon.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for listening and/or watching Broadcast Map. To learn more about the show, please visit broadcastmap.ca. While you're there, subscribe to the newsletter so you never miss an update. Besides, it's free. Enter your email address and hit subscribe right on the homepage and at the bottom of all Broadcast Map posts.